You were vegetarian before, weren't you, Trey?
I was vegetarian for 7 years, dude, before I went vegan. And I went vegetarian because I cared about animals. I didn't really understand why veganism was important. And I thought veganism was a diet. And just like, vegetarianism was a diet for me. Yeah, I did it for the animals, but it wasn't a strong stance against abuse like veganism is. And I think that's part of the confusion. Sometimes people think veganism is a diet, so they rope it in with vegetarianism, when in fact veganism is a hard stance against animal abuse. Yeah, and vegetarianism makes exceptions for that.
Yeah, definitely. What would so I mean, you're amazing. Your activism is amazing, Trey. I massively look up to you. When you come across vegetarians, what's kind of your approach to them then?
Well, I mean, empathy, really, because I was there. I was in their position. But I also have a duty to the animals, to the dairy cows and the chicks in the egg industry, the hens and honeybees and all that. And it's, like I said, it extends beyond diet. So this is, a vegetarian can go to aquariums, zoos, animal circuses, rodeos, all that, whereas as a vegan takes a stance against that. So I try to explain to them anti-oppression, anti-abuse, and I also just let them know what happens in the dairy industry, that mothers are impregnated forcefully, the calves are taken away from them, the calves die as children if they're male usually, baby chicks get ground up alive in the egg industry. I just tell them these things because often they don't know. And I usually run into two different types of vegetarians. One type is, somebody who's vegetarian for the animals. That's why they don't eat them. And then another type that, might be vegetarian for the animals, but they feel like they're doing enough and they don't want to hear anything else. They feel like they've reached that. They feel like they're woke or whatever, they feel like they're compassionate, and maybe they are, but they don't want to hear about the dairy and egg industry and the honey industry. They don't want to hear about that stuff. And that can be frustrating because sometimes I might be at a cube or something and a vegetarian walks by and they're like, "Oh, thank God I'm vegetarian. I don't do any of that stuff. I don't contribute to that." And they keep walking, because I don't know if they keep walking because they don't want to talk, or if they keep walking because they know somebody's going to say something to them about veganism. So sometimes I'll just have to politely shout it out, cows and chickens die in the dairy and egg industry. And I don't say it in a mean way. They're just walking away and they need to know, you know what I mean? So if I can get one message across to them that they're still paying for death and torture, that's what I do.
I was saying to Daryl before, like you said, when they walk past, they say, it's as if they're saying, "Yeah, you don't need to talk to me. I'm already a vegetarian." But the thing is, you're exactly who I want to be talking to. I mean, you're already halfway there in a
target audience.
It is, because in their mind, they obviously have a bit of compassion about them, obviously, because they've gone veggie for the animals. But so you're my target audience because you should be easy. I mean, you should be easy to come across to the dark side. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, they feel like they're doing enough, and I think all animal abuse is on a shocking level. But my personal opinion is the dairy industry is actually probably the worst when it comes to the amount of torture. What's your opinion? What do you think about that? Do you think so? I mean, it's all bad, obviously.
Yeah, the dairy industry is rough. I mean, sadly, if I was going to pick one animal that I had to be in animal ag, I would probably pick a male baby chick in the egg industry and get ground up alive the day I was born. So that way I wouldn't have to go through all the suffering. I think mother dairy cows have it really bad. Animals in testing facilities have it really horrible as well, and vegetarians contribute to that sometimes. So that can be rough too, because those animals can be in there for decades. There's a animal testing facility about 3 hours away from where I live, and they kept The chimp may or may not still be alive. I don't know because they're so secretive. But if she is alive, she's been in there for 66 years of enslavement, of being a prisoner for no reason. You know, that's pretty horrible.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing is, a vegetarian won't kind of see that because all they do is just not eat meat.
Exactly. And that's why vegetarianism is a diet. It's not a strong stance against animal abuse. And some people think it is a strong stance against animal abuse because they just don't have the information. So I think we should keep, as activists, we should keep a strong stance that vegetarianism is not enough, but we should also have empathy toward vegetarians and give them the benefit of the doubt, because sometimes they just don't know, and with information they might change. You know, that was the case for me. I lived in the darkness for 7 years of being a vegetarian, thinking I was doing enough for the animals, but I was still contributing to some of the most horrific torture that exists.
Yeah, I mean, I was just going to say that so many people don't have access to internet. The things of that, I mean, I think they do. It's a hell of a lot better now. The only things I would have against that comment, but thank you for the comment, but is back then that might have been an excuse, but now, I mean, there's so much information, you know what I mean? It's not hard to find out now. I mean, if you don't have the internet, then yeah, you might struggle finding this information out, but I think if you're a compassionate vegetarian, you've gone vegetarian for the animals, then you haven't done that much research, because it doesn't take long to come across the dairy industry and the egg industry.
Let's not forget as well, though, although I completely agree with you, it's so easy to find this information and research it for yourself. Let's not forget that it's 2020 and we're still seeing adverts of happy cows in fields, all over the TV, and for some people, we are still seen as the propaganda pushing weird vegans, and obviously we know that's not the truth, but you can imagine how hard it is for some people to believe when we have these huge, powerful, rich industries, subsidized industries, pushing out these messages. These people are a product of the system.